Poke it. Now we've got our ball. Stick a finger in the middle. Pinch pots are also known as thumb pots. So we'll start with our thumb. Wiggle your ball of clay on your thumb.
What?
Wiggle it. If there's any dips in the surface or a crack in your clay, this is a good place to start. A ball isn't a pot, so we need to start giving it some good form. Then compare the size of your thumb to the pot. This will give you an idea of how deep you've gone and where your base is. Now the clay goes right to the base of my thumb. I don't have a big pair of hands. I'm going to stick my thumb next to my ball of clay, and that's how deep I've gone. So I know I've got less than 1 centimetre at the base. Pinch and turn. Now it's time for us to start pinching things out. All it is a gentle squeezing motion. You're using the tip of your thumb and the tip of your finger and gently, really gently, squeezing them together. Now I'm going to go back in and smooth the base a little bit. It's really important to compress your base. You're not doing CPR, so go easy on it. Although it's not overly important with air drying clay, learning these good habits now will set you up for working with stoneware clay or porcelain. The reason why a lot of pots crack is because their bases are not compressed adequately. Now let's get back to having a squeeze. You want to start at the base of your pot wall. Don't be shifting upwards yet. We're concentrating on where the wall starts. Focus on the bottom part. Following the shape. Pinch and turn, 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 pinch and turn. You don't need to use any water because there's already moisture in the clay. Your finger will slide over it. The base of a pot can be thought like the foundations of a house. If it isn't strong enough, it's not going to be able to hold its own weight. It is a consideration when making larger objects. So good practice now means better results later. Squish, squish, squish. Our base is eventually going to become much thinner than it is at the moment. The whole time while you're pinching, I like to think of it as sketching with your hands. So nothing's going to be perfect. When your first level's feeling like it's all even, shift up, pinch and turn again, and you'll do that for each level. If you're thinking of the pot in terms of measurements, like fingertips, if you run your fingertips up, it's kind of like walking up but from the inside and the outside. So measure it like that in terms of your fingertips rather than centimetres. We're not being exact here. On your first fingertip level, that should all be feeling even. And then your second fingertip level, that's where you're going to be doing your pinching and turning. Because your fingers are pressing into the clay, you'll see the marks, so you'll be able to see your layers. That's going to help you to visualise. I've made so many pinch pots, and the first ones I made, they were rubbish. Kind of got to a point where it was like, the more I did it, the less I had to look at it. So now I can do it, I look like a nutter, but I can do it sitting in the dark. Pitch black surroundings, yeah, ball of clay, pinch pot done. I don't need to see what I'm doing because I can feel it. So if you're not relying on your sight, then your sense of touch is going to become heightened. You have to find a way of working around it. There's different things that you can experience with clay. There's the smell especially. It's got that earthy kind of smell. It's one of them things I do like to sniff, as well as metal, grinding metal, diesel, oil. In terms of the sense of touch and your feeling, clay is malleable, especially when it's fresh out the bag. Freshness. Fresh. A ball of clay is a living thing, even though air drying clay has got nylon fibres in it. Clay is from the ground, so of course it's a living thing. It's not like, otherwise it's like saying milk comes from the fridge and not from a cow. Clay is in the soil in varying amounts around us, no matter where you are. Whatever little patch of soil you've got near to you, there's going to be some clay in there, somewhere. Even if you're surrounded by concrete blocks, there's clay underneath you. I do have this habit of sniffing pots while I'm making them. I'm going to show you now pretty much how I make the rest of the pot, going up each layer, pinching and turning. Having a little bop in the middle, you can see my foot going. It's like my foot keeping the rhythm. Sometimes the music helps. Of course, there's a cup of tea on the go. The trouble with doing stuff in the garden is I often end up with bits of mud or grass in my pots, which is alright with air drying clay. Not so great with porcelain though. And you can see that I'm still smoothing it as I'm going along. You can smooth it both inside and outside just by running your finger over it. As it starts to get thinner and you spread the clay out so it is like a bowl, it is going to start getting more floppy. Floppy. Leave your rims until last. Obviously that's the last bit that you're squeezing because it's at the top of your pot. You can see all my finger marks. I'm using my fingers to feel that the thickness is even throughout, and I'm doing that constantly. Don't leave it till last. You want to make sure the clay is evenly distributed as you're going along. Otherwise it's going to be harder to push it around. You don't really want to be pushing it around. And now it's looking like a pot. Because it's getting so floppy now, I'm going to leave it to chill out. It's chill out time. Flip your pot upside down and stand it on its rim and leave it to dry out for at least an hour. If you've had enough for today, just wrap it up. A clean plastic bag that's big enough to hold your pot is all you need. Not some manky bag you wrapped your butties up in. The bonus in wrapping things up like this also means that you'll have an even distribution of moisture.
Trim it up. You don't need blades to trim things up. In your kit you've got a pointed wooden tool. If you've got wobbly cracking rims, we can sort it out. The easiest way of doing this is by using your tool to sketch out a line that goes all the way around. The line I've roughly animated is to show the line I've sketched out because it's quite faint in this light. It doesn't need to be precise, as long as it joins up. Follow this line all the way around again, only going about 1 millimetre in depth. Once that's done, grab your wooden knife and do the same thing. Your other hand should support it from the inside while you're cutting through. Gradually work your way through with each rotation of the pot. You're only using the tip of your wooden knife as well. I'll be showing you this from 2 different perspectives, because some things are better viewed from the side. If you don't want to trim your rim, that's up to you. But I'd advise you not to use the loop tool, because you'll be spending ages trying to get a clean line. Air drying clay is kind of fluffy, so your grooves are going to get blocked. So make sure you clean your tips. I call it fluffage. To me they look like fly fish and things.
No nymphs here.
I doubt you'll ever catch anything with this though. I put some of the fibres under a microscope because I wanted to see just how fine the fibres were. Can't remember the magnification, it was somewhere between 40 and 1000. And I'm using a scalpel blade because it's so static, it just keeps flying off if I don't hold it down. I should really have them stuck on a slide. From the inside you'll be able to see where you've been pushing through with your knife. I like taking my time cutting things out because once I've done it, that's it. Can't stick it back on. So the next 30 odd seconds is me in my zone cutting it out. Obviously you've noticed that I've not put any music in this video. I am so sick of watching instructional videos with irritating tingly music. I'm like, what the hell? I could have put some of my own music here, but you know, it's going to be chopping in and out. I'll save that for another time. I put some of my playlists of the kind of tunes I like listening to on my YouTube channel. You can have a gag over there. I'll let you choose your own background music. I spent about 5 minutes cutting this out with the wooden knife, because I wanted a clean line. Eventually, your old rim will come off in a ring, and you're left with a crumbly looking one. You can save your crumbly ring for some slip later. Check your rims. Now we need to smooth out our existing rim. If you twist your pot around on your work surface, that'll help to flatten it. Pick any of the bits off. Then smooth over the edges of your rims. Run your fingers along the inside and the outsides of your pot and try and give it a nice rounded edge. Here's what it looks like from the side. This looks a bit like patting your head while rubbing your belly. It's all just about getting the rhythm right. That's why I found it really helpful to do it to music. Your fingertips are working to the beat. Use your wooden knife as well to shave off any of these silly bits. Spend as long as you want refining it. It'll take you a couple of minutes to finish this off. And I'm still not using any water. You can push down gently on your rims just using your thumb. My right hand is my dominant hand, and my left hand's my weaker hand. Although I'm not sure sometimes because it's my right hand that's got a bit of a finger missing. For the first few pinch pots that you make, it doesn't always turn out how you expect, but it does take time to translate what you envisage in your head into something that is in 3D. So I still have that issue sometimes. Clay has its own memory and sometimes it'll just want to go a certain way. Your fingers are your greatest tool when it comes to pinch pots. The most important element is patience, even drying and even pressure. If you've got any surface cracks, you should be able to sort them out now by just running your thumb over it or your finger. Time to refine the base.
Base.
Because it's not rock hard, I can push the base against the board. And you see that I'm using both hands to hold it steady and distribute the pressure. Just repeat this until you've got it standing as straight as possible. Flip it over and compress it again. My base isn't quite flat, so I'm going over it with the wooden tool again. Just shaving a little bit off at a time. The best way of trimming it is by trimming a bit off and then turn it a little bit. Trim a bit more off and turn it. And that should help you to get a flat, smooth base. If you tap your wooden tool on the base of your pot and the sides of your pot, you should be able to tell if there's a difference or not in the depth of the sound. The thicker the clay, the deeper the sound. If it's thinner, it'll be a higher tone. If your base is on the thick side, you'll have to shave a bit more off. Have a quick look to see how yours is doing. Is it standing up straight? Or is it having a wobble? Weeble! Don't get wigged out. Get your wiggle on. Don't forget to wash your tools when you finish. That's pretty much how you do a pinch pot. What you do next is up to you. There's more tips over on the website. Have a look at the FAQs and my blog posts. In the next video, I'll be showing you how to make a foot ring and attach it using clay slip. If you're happy with it as it is, just leave it to dry out completely. Because it's not like normal clay, you'll need to give it a protective coating of some kind. Otherwise it's going to be forever sucking moisture out the air. You can either paint it or put a layer of glue on it. Or you can do some surface decoration if it's not too hard, using your tools in your box. You'll want it to last for as long as possible after you've done all of this work.